Running away is winning, the battle of wits between a cunning thief and a king. This sutra's story is about a wise and resourceful man who faces various difficulties and challenges, and ultimately achieves success and happiness. The man was a young textile artisan with wisdom and courage. He worked in the royal palace with his uncle and led a poor life. However, in the hearts of these two, there swirled not just the desire to make textiles, but bigger dreams and ambitions. One day, their lives took an unexpected turn. They made a bold plan to steal gold and silver from the palace's treasury. This was not just a mere theft, but the beginning of an adventure that would change their destinies. This story is a tale of wisdom, resourcefulness, and the courage to believe in life's miracles. Let us walk together on his journey of destiny. Story. Long ago, a man served in the royal palace as the king's textile artisan, together with his nephew. The two frequently went to the palace to store the woven cloth in the treasury and take out thread for materials. Because of this, they gradually became familiar with what was stored in each treasury and what the palace was like. At first, they would timidly glance sideways at the treasury where gold and silver were stored while passing to the textile treasury. But eventually, they started to want to get their hands on the gold and silver treasures inside the treasury. The two discussed,
"Even though we work hard like this every day, we still can't escape our poor lives.
How about we take a little of the king's gold and silver from the treasury to supplement our lives?"
Uncle, are you serious? If you're serious, let's do it.
One night, the two waited for people to fall asleep, dug a hole in the ground, and entered the treasury where treasures were stored from underground. At the mountain of treasures they had never seen before in their lives, their hearts were completely disturbed, and they stole as much gold and silver as they could carry and hurriedly fled. When dawn broke and the guards did their morning inspection, they noticed that a lot of gold and silver was missing and hurriedly reported it to the king. Then the king, after thinking for a while, calmly ordered,
"Don't let this matter out. Keep it a secret and act as if nothing happened. If we do that, the thief will surely think we haven't noticed. If they think we haven't noticed, they will certainly come to steal again. You all should tighten security and wait. And this time, make sure to catch them."
The guards, as per the king's orders, tightened security and lay in wait for the thief without being noticed. Several days passed without incident. However, when enough days had passed that the excitement of the theft seemed to have worn off, they came, just as the king had predicted. However, the nephew, who quickly noticed that things were different from last time, whispered to his uncle,
The security seems tight tonight. It might not go as smoothly as last time. Uncle, you're getting old and weak, so please stay in the hole so you can escape easily if you're found. I'm young and strong, so I'll be fine. If you get caught, Uncle, I'll definitely save you. But please don't do anything reckless.
Saying this, the nephew went into the treasury. Despite the nephew's consideration, the uncle crawled out of the hole and was immediately caught by the guards who were lying in wait.
"We've caught the thief. There's one more. Everyone come here."
As the guards' loud voices echoed through the quiet night sky, the guards stationed at various treasuries came running in an instant. The nephew, seeing this, gave up on saving his uncle and lay low until the commotion died down. The nephew, thinking it would be bad for people to see the face of his uncle who had frequently been in and out of the palace, took advantage of the guards running around and decisively cut off his uncle's head, clutched it, and fled. The guards, after dawn broke, brought the headless corpse before the king and reported the previous night's incident. The king closed his eyes and thought for a while, but eventually ordered in a calm voice,
"Put that corpse on a cart and place it at the crossroads in the center of the city. If anyone clings to the corpse crying or tries to carry it away, they must be the thief's accomplice."
By the king's order, the corpse was left abandoned at the busiest crossroads where it was most likely to be noticed. And in the shadows, guards kept a vigilant watch around the clock. At one point, a group of merchants came to the city driving their carriages. The crossroads were bustling with many carriages and people. The nephew, who had been waiting, took advantage of this commotion to transport firewood by carriage, loaded it onto the corpse, and once again disappeared into the crowd and left. The next morning, the guards reported to the king that someone had loaded firewood onto the corpse and taken it away. The king immediately ordered,
Not a very clever thief. Listen up, you all. The one who tries to set fire to the firewood and burn the corpse is the thief. Keep a close watch, and if you see someone like that, catch them immediately and bring them to me.
Meanwhile, the nephew was teaching children a game of dancing with torches. Dancing was eye-catching, and the children, happy to be noticed, started dancing at the crossroads where the corpse was. And as they were taught, they approached the corpse and threw their torches into the piled firewood. The fire from the torches spread to the firewood, and in an instant, the fire started burning fiercely with crackling sounds and rising flames. People started to clamor, and the crossroads were flooded with confused people and carriages. And the guards couldn't do anything even if they tried to approach. Thus, the nephew's plan for cremation was a magnificent success. The guards, unaware of the nephew's scheme, reported that the firewood had caught fire from the children's fire play. The king listened silently, but noticing that bones still remained, immediately ordered,
The thief's accomplice will surely come to take the bones. You all must patiently keep watch over the bones. This time, make sure to catch the accomplice.
However, the nephew saw through the king's thinking and outsmarted him. He knew well that the guards were tired from working day and night and could hardly endure their hunger and thirst. First, he made a large quantity of sweet, strong alcohol that would quickly intoxicate. At night, the nephew disguised himself as a liquor seller, approached the guards, and offered them alcohol. They were very pleased and secretly bought and drank the alcohol. The alcohol quickly went to their exhausted bodies, and eventually, every single one of them fell asleep. The nephew, disguised as a liquor seller, made sure the guards were sound asleep, and successfully managed to put his uncle's bones into the empty liquor bottles and take them home. The next morning, the guards woke up and noticed that the bones were gone, and they panicked. The king, upon receiving the report, pondered for a long time.
Quite a cunning thief. If it's come to this, there's no choice but to set a trap and catch him.
The king adorned his daughter with jewels and had her live in a house near a large river. And he had many guards hidden around the house, as if surrounding it.
That thief will surely come to try to get the beautiful woman and the jewels. I've instructed my daughter to embrace the thief when he comes and let the guards know. This time, we should definitely be able to catch him.
The man, having completely finished mourning his uncle, heard rumors of a beautiful woman and the magnificent jewels she wore, just as the king had thought, and wanted to somehow get his hands on them. However, he was much wiser than the king thought. The man first floated logs from upstream in the river and made loud noises as if people were running by. The princess, startled by the shadows and sounds flowing in the river, cried out loudly. At that voice, the guards immediately came running. However, there were only logs floating, and nothing unusual had happened. As this continued for several days, the guards let their guard down and started to doze off. Seeing this opportunity, the man rowed a log down the river and snuck into the princess's room. When the princess saw him, she grabbed the man's jacket as her father had instructed and called for the guards. However, the guards, who had been summoned every night by mistake until now, were not taking it seriously and showed no signs of coming at all. In the meantime, the man was able to successfully fulfill his desire. However, when he tried to escape, the princess grabbed his sleeve with a desperate strength. So the man had her grab a dead person's arm that he had prepared.
It's more reliable to grab an arm than a sleeve,
he said. At the man's words, the princess firmly grabbed the arm that was presented to her. However, she opened her eyes wide and screamed. The arm she had grabbed had come off the man's shoulder. At this scream, the guards finally came running, but the man had already escaped. Thus, having all the traps he had set completely foiled, even the wise king was at a loss.
That thief is extremely clever. There's no way to catch him.
He lamented. Moreover, as the days passed, the princess's belly gradually grew larger and became noticeable. The thief must have impregnated the princess. Thinking of that, the king's lament grew even greater. Eventually, 10 months passed, and when the moon was full, a baby boy was born. He was a very cute child with well-proportioned features, but the king's anger was not about to subside.
Have a wet nurse carry this child and walk around the whole country. If there's a man who approaches the child, plays with it, or shows signs of being concerned, that's the suspicious one. Catch him immediately,
he ordered. From that day on, a wet nurse carrying the baby walked around the town with disguised guards. Around this time, the man in question had become a rice cake seller and was working by the hearth in his shop. The wet nurse in question happened to pass by there and bought a rice cake for the baby who was crying from hunger. This was the first time the man saw the child, but he realized at a glance that it was undoubtedly his own. He inadvertently tried to give the rice cake himself out of adorableness, but the baby started crying. So the wet nurse hurriedly took the rice cake, soothed the baby, and quickly left. Now, once he had seen his child, the man wanted to somehow make the child his own. After much thought, he decided to become a liquor seller and approach the wet nurse and others. The man went ahead, set up shop, and lay in wait for the wet nurse and others. The wet nurse and others happened to pass by there.
Oh my. Carrying a child in this heat, you must be very tired. We have delicious drinks too, so please come in and rest.
The man acted like a typical merchant. Neither the wet nurse nor the guards ever dreamed that he had approached them with the baby in mind. Moreover, they were exhausted from walking around every day, so they inadvertently drank the sweet liquor the man offered. The man had made strong liquor before when cremating his uncle's corpse. And this time too, he put the wet nurse and guards to sleep with the same method, and in that gap took the child and fled. The wet nurse and others were the ones who panicked. When they came to their senses, the baby was gone. They turned pale and searched everywhere, but they couldn't find the baby no matter what. And they timidly reported the circumstances to the king. The king got angry and severely scolded the wet nurse and others.
You fools! Drinking liquor and not only failing to catch the thief, but even having the precious child stolen. Thanks to you all, there's no longer any way to catch the thief.
Meanwhile, the man had escaped to another country with the child, but he plotted something and requested an audience with that country's king. The man, quoting words from sutras and using various parables, told the king interesting and profound stories. This greatly pleased the king. The king took a great liking to the man and decided on the spot to appoint him as a minister.
In my country, there is no one as intelligent and knowledgeable as you. I want you to work greatly under me. By the way, you seem to have a child, but do you have a wife?
There was a woman who was supposed to be my wife, but she committed adultery, leaving me and the child. I have raised my child single-handedly.
What? You were in such a pitiful situation? Then I shall do something about it. How about my daughter? Or is there someone else you desire?
Your Majesty's daughter is too good for me. I wish to marry the princess of the country I previously lived in.
Very well, if that is your wish, I shall grant it immediately. First, become my adopted son, and I shall have your marriage to that country's princess realized.
The king made the man his adopted son and sent a messenger to the king of that country to request a marriage alliance with the princess. The king of that country, upon hearing this from the messenger, was perplexed by the sudden proposal, but eventually had a sudden realization.
This must be the work of that thief. What a brazen fellow doing such a bold thing. However, if he wants my daughter, that thief will have to come himself to welcome the bride. All right, that's when I'll definitely catch him,
he thought. The king, with the aim of capturing the thief, accepted this request for a marriage alliance. Having done that, he immediately had 500 cavalry stand by, ready to deploy at any time, and lay in wait so that the thief could be captured as soon as he came. However, the wise man thought that if he went to the castle alone, he would surely be seen through and caught. He petitioned the king, who had now become his adoptive father, saying,
Your Majesty, when I go to welcome the princess, please equip 500 cavalry with arms.
I wish to go welcome my wife with a splendid procession,
he said. The king gladly granted this wish and prepared as he requested. Thus, with 500 mounted soldiers, the man set out to welcome the princess of the country he had formerly lived in. With 250 riders in front and the remaining 250 following behind, the man rode his horse in the center. His appearance was like that of a general of an army. Moreover, taking precaution upon precaution, he did not dismount from his horse even upon arriving at the royal palace. The king, who had been lying in wait to catch him this time, observed the situation for a while, but eventually broke into loud laughter. At the man's repeated magnificent methods, he had forgotten his anger. Without even leading the soldiers he had on standby, the king approached the man alone. And he had him dismount from his horse, sent the men and horses away, and asked,
You have caused me quite a lot of trouble. I tried various things to somehow catch you, but they all failed. How on earth did you outsmart us?
The man showed respect to the king with a deep bow, and then explained in detail everything that had happened. Even the king, who had hated the thief so much, couldn't help but be impressed at being completely outsmarted and escaped from to this extent.
There is no one as wise as you. Take my daughter as your wife as you wish,
he said. Thus, the man was able to safely welcome his wife. And moreover, through his excellent talent and wisdom, he gained the favor of the kings of 2 countries and came to fulfill his duties splendidly as a minister. This story offers several important lessons for modern people. An explanation based on the story's content is as follows. First is the importance of wisdom and resourcefulness. The story's protagonist overcomes numerous difficulties through his wisdom and resourcefulness. This teaches us modern people that flexible thinking and creative approaches are important when solving problems. It shows that when faced with a challenge, the key to success is the flexibility to consider multiple solutions, not just one method. However, in the eyes of others, it may be seen as cunning. Second is decisiveness and ability to take action. The protagonist acts swiftly and makes decisions according to the situation at hand. This demonstrates the importance of quick decision-making and action in today's fast-paced world. It emphasizes the value of not procrastinating and taking immediate action when an opportunity is identified. Third is the courage to face adversity. In the story, the protagonist faces adversity many times, but he never gives up. This teaches modern people the importance of facing difficulties and challenges with courage. It suggests that adversity is an opportunity for growth, and overcoming it makes one stronger. Fourth is ethical judgment and responsibility. The story's protagonist engages in ethically questionable actions such as theft. This reminds us that the means to achieve a goal are not necessarily justified. It provides the lesson that ethical judgment and responsibility should accompany the achievement of a goal. Indeed, this story also glimpses the aspect that if you can cheat and get away with it, you win. That should not be taken as a lesson. Fifth is the ability to change and adapt. In the story, the protagonist faces many changes and adapts to them. Modern society is constantly changing, and the ability to flexibly respond to those changes is required. This story teaches us the importance of accepting change and adapting to it. Overall, this story provides insights and lessons for modern people in multiple aspects. Wisdom and resourcefulness, courage and decisiveness, ethical responsibility, and the ability to adapt to change are important elements for succeeding in today's society. However, that does not mean that ethically problematic behavior should be condoned.